Picture a blockbuster book. We are talking about a text that is completely foundational to early religious thought.
Right, incredibly popular.
Yeah, wildly influential. And, it's being quoted as undeniable truth by ancient authorities. But then, well, the authorities just change their minds. The book gets banned.
Just completely erased from the public record.
Exactly. It vanishes. And not just for a decade or like a century, but for over 1,000 years.
It becomes a ghost. Which is, that's a complete historical blackout. That is incredibly rare for a text that was once considered sacred by so many people.
So today, we are pulling that text out of the dark. We are doing a brand new deep dive into an extensive historical and textual analysis of the Book of Enoch.
It's a fascinating one.
It really is. And our mission for this deep dive is to explore why this ancient apocryphal text was outlawed in the first place. We're looking at what its absolutely wild visions of fallen angels and cosmic architecture actually mean.
And maybe most importantly, what it reveals about the ancient human mind.
Right. Now, just a quick note for you listening before we get into the weeds today. Our sources cover some pretty intense ancient religious theology and political class warfare.
Very intense.
Yeah. So we are here strictly to impartially report on what is in these source texts. We want to explain why they matter to ancient people. We're definitely not here to endorse any specific theological or political viewpoints.
We're just trying to understand the profound impact this book had on history.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can even get into the crazy visions inside this book, we first have to understand its real-world survival story.
Because an ancient bestseller doesn't just disappear on its own.
Right. It takes a highly coordinated, systemic effort to erase a text.
It really does.
Yeah.
Because in the early days, the Book of Enoch was beloved by early Christians and Jews. It is literally quoted in the canonical biblical Book of Jude.
Wait, really? In the actual Bible?
Yes, directly quoted. And early church heavyweights, like Justin Martyr and Clement of Alexandria, they relied on it heavily. They used it to explain the origins of demons and the state of the cosmos.
But theological winds inevitably shift, right?
Yeah, the leadership began to centralize their doctrines.
And the sources point to a very specific turning point for this. The year 381 AD at the Council of Laodicea.
Right. And that date is no accident. The Council of Laodicea was actively standardizing the biblical canon. They were deciding what was officially in and what was officially out.
And Enoch didn't make the cut.
Not at all. Enoch's incredibly mystical, bizarre, and terrifying visions simply didn't fit the neat, orderly narrative they were trying to build for a unified church.
Because it deals so heavily with rogue angels and cosmic rebellion.
Exactly. Which was becoming politically inconvenient for a church trying to project absolute, unquestionable divine order. So they outlawed its use.
And the suppression worked brilliantly. The book vanished entirely from the Western world. People only knew it used to exist because of lingering references in other surviving manuscripts.
But nobody actually possessed a physical copy.
Right. But an idea that powerful doesn't just evaporate. It leaves breadcrumbs.
It does.
And those breadcrumbs are exactly what a Scottish explorer and Freemason named James Bruce was following. This was in 1773.
He travels to Abyssinia, which is modern-day Ethiopia, and he manages to find not one, but 3 complete copies of the lost Book of Enoch.
3 of them?
Yeah. They had been perfectly preserved, translated into the ancient Ethiopian liturgical language of Dees.
Which is incredible. The geographical isolation of the Ethiopian church basically acted as a time capsule. Wow. It kept the book safe from all the censorship happening in Europe and the Mediterranean.
But the reaction to James Bruce returning to Europe with these texts is, well, it's a perfect case study in historical arrogance.
Totally. For over a century after he brought the manuscripts back, the Western academic and religious establishments just dismissed them.
They looked at this recovered text and decided it had to be a fake. They assumed it was a creative forgery from the 2nd century AD.
Like written by an early Christian long after the events it claimed to describe.
Right, simply trying to retroactively justify their theology.
I have to push back on those academics for a second, though. Because, if someone shows up in the 1700s with a magical lost book that conveniently answers all these ancient mysteries...
Skepticism seems pretty warranted.
Yeah, I would probably assume it was a brilliant forgery, too. How do we know it actually wasn't a fake?
Well, that skepticism is the foundation of good historical research. It is completely fair to demand proof when dealing with a miraculous rediscovery. And the academic world maintained that skeptical position all the way until 1946.
Which is a huge year for archaeology.
The biggest.
Yeah.
That is the year a Bedouin shepherd threw a rock into a cave near the Dead Sea, shattered a clay jar, and accidentally made the greatest archaeological discovery of the 20th century.
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
Exactly. Hidden among the Dead Sea Scrolls in Cave 4 were 7 fragmented manuscripts of the Book of Enoch. And crucially, they weren't in Greek or Gaze.
They were written in the original Aramaic and Hebrew.
Yes.
Which conclusively proves its ancient pre-Christian origins. I mean, finding the Aramaic fragments must have completely vindicated the Ethiopian text James Bruce found.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt, the Dead Sea Scrolls allowed scholars to perform rigorous linguistic analysis, radiocarbon dating on the physical parchment.
And the syntax of the Aramaic matched the dialect spoken centuries before the Common Era.
Right. When linguists compared those ancient Aramaic fragments to the Gaze translation from Ethiopia, the text aligned beautifully.
Wow.
It proved that the document Bruce recovered wasn't an 18th century hoax, nor was it a 2nd century Christian forgery. It was an incredibly accurate transmission of a genuine ancient Jewish document.
The ghost was real.
The ghost was real, and it was older than anyone wanted to admit.
So now that we have established the book is entirely authentic to the ancient world, we have to look at what was written inside it. What made early authorities so incredibly nervous?
Because it's wild.
It really is. Looking at the sources, it reads less like standard scripture and more like an ancient sci-fi thriller.
Oh, absolutely.
The narrative kicks off with a massive cosmic rebellion.
The story of the Watchers. This is arguably the most famous and, certainly the most controversial lore to come out of the Enochian texts.
It completely redefines the boundaries between the divine realm and the human world. Enoch, who is the great-grandfather of Noah, by the way, describes a group of 200 angels.
They are called the Watchers.
Right. And they physically descend from heaven, landing on Mount Hermon. Led by an angel named Semyaza, they go completely rogue.
They abandon their posts and start mating with human women.
And the result of this forbidden interdimensional union is a race of ravenous, bloodthirsty giants called the Nephilim.
The text describes the Nephilim as essentially devouring mankind. I mean, ancient people lived on the razor's edge of starvation anyway.
Yeah, so introducing a race of giants who consume all the crops, all the livestock, and eventually turn on the humans themselves.
It is the ultimate ancient nightmare of unchecked consumption and power. The giants drank blood and created absolute, unsustainable chaos on Earth.
But the physical destruction wasn't even the worst part of the angelic rebellion. There was one specific angel in this rogue group named Azazel.
Ah, yes, Azazel.
Azazel decides to teach humanity forbidden knowledge. And the source text gets highly specific about the curriculum here.
It really does.
He teaches humans how to make swords, knives, shields, and breastplates. But in the very same breath, he teaches them how to make mirrors, bracelets, ornaments, and the art of beautifying eyelids with cosmetics.
Yeah, the makeup.
It's like a rogue black ops team going completely off mission and distributing classified tech to civilians. But my question is, why are weapons of war grouped together with eyeliner and jewelry?
It seems like a weird mix, right?
Exactly. Why is a sword considered the exact same type of forbidden evil as a shiny bracelet?
Well, what's fascinating here is that this isn't just a fantasy story about giants and rogue angels. It's actually a highly sophisticated ancient sociological theory.
Oh, interesting.
The text is framing all of this advanced knowledge, whether it's the metallurgy required to kill your neighbor or the cosmetic technology used to alter your appearance, as forbidden because it artificially accelerates human corruption.
So the swords lead to violence and the mirrors lead to vanity.
Precisely.
It provides a massive psychological comfort, doesn't it? Early humans were looking around at the mass slaughter of war, the intense vanity, the extreme inequality of their society, and they were thinking, we couldn't have come up with this on our own.
Exactly. It completely reframes the concept of original sin. Instead of placing the entire burden of evil on humanity for simply eating an apple in a garden, the Book of Enoch provides a framework that says the evil in the world is the result of cosmic sabotage.
We were hacked.
Right. Humanity was handed a loaded gun by higher dimensional beings who broke the rules. We were corrupted by outside interference.
That is wild. But Enoch doesn't just stay on Earth to document the fallout of this corruption. The text takes a massive pivot.
A huge pivot.
Enoch is physically taken up into the heavens, transported in some sort of whirlwind or chariot to see the actual source code of the universe itself.
He gets a tour.
We get this incredibly detailed out-of-body journey through the cosmos.
And this section transforms the book from a moral history into a deep dive into ancient science, astronomy, and physics. Enoch becomes the ultimate cosmic witness.
He's guided by archangels, specifically Uriel, who seems to function as the universe's chief engineer.
Yeah, Uriel is showing him everything.
Right. Enoch is shown the literal storehouses of the winds. He sees the exact portals where the sun and the moon rise and set. But the detail that really stands out in the sources is when Enoch sees a terrifying rift of fire with no bottom.
Yes. He describes a place of ultimate chaos hidden away from the ordered universe.
And our source material makes this incredible connection, comparing Enoch's description of this bottomless fiery rift to modern astrophysical concepts of singularities or black holes.
It's mind-blowing. The author of our source text even references the physicist Roger Penrose and his theory of cosmic censorship.
Cosmic censorship.
Yeah. So Penrose's theory suggests that the universe essentially hides the infinite, chaotic breakdown of physics inside the event horizon of a black hole, so we don't have to look at it.
The universe censors the chaos to maintain order.
Exactly. And Enoch is describing the exact same concept thousands of years earlier. He sees a cosmic prison for the fallen angels where the laws of nature are suspended, completely walled off from the beautiful mathematical order of the heavens.
The sources heavily emphasize that this type of vision isn't entirely unique to Enoch either. They draw striking parallels between Enoch's journey and the Greek Hermetica.
Right. The Hermetica is a collection of Hellenistic Egyptian wisdom texts attributed to the legendary figure Hermes Trismegistus.
And in those texts, Hermes also experiences a paralyzing out-of-body state.
He is guided by a divine mind, an entity called Pomandres, who functions very much like the archangel Uriel.
Interesting.
Yeah, Pomandres shows Hermes the wonders of heaven, the nature of light and dark, and the mechanics of creation.
So both the Enochian texts and the Hermetica rely on this really powerful literary trope. An ancient sage receiving a direct download of cosmic wisdom from a higher dimensional tutor.
It reflects a universal human belief that the ultimate truths of the universe can't be figured out just by looking at the dirt. You have to be elevated above it.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Out of all the mystical visions of black holes, fiery rifts, and rogue angels, the thing that seems to matter the absolute most to the author of the text is the calendar.
Oh yes, the calendar wars.
Enoch is absolutely obsessed with this 364-day solar calendar. He insists forcefully that the year is exactly 364 days, measured exclusively by the sun.
And he claims that anyone using the moon to calculate time is a sinner who is dooming humanity.
Right. But why was a 364-day calendar so controversial? I mean, it sounds beautifully organized. Why wouldn't everyone just use the moon like most ancient cultures did?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, you'll see why the math was a literal matter of life and death. The calendar debate wasn't just ancient astronomy, it was the ultimate political wedge issue of its day.
Oh, wow.
You have to look at the era this section of the book was written, which is primarily the Maccabean period in the 2nd century BC. Judea was experiencing massive civil and religious unrest.
So it's like two political factions fighting over daylight saving time. But your eternal salvation depends on getting the math right.
That's a great way to put it. The strict 364-day solar calendar was championed by a conservative priestly group known as the Sadducees. The name even connects to the word for the righteous in Hebrew.
Okay.
A 364-day year is perfectly divisible by 7. It means exactly 52 weeks.
Oh, so the holidays fall on the exact same day of the week every single year.
Every single year. It represents perfect mathematical cosmic order. There's no guesswork.
And the other faction is pushing for the lunar calendar, which is inherently flawed if you want perfect symmetry.
Right. The Pharisees, a more populist religious group, pushed for the lunar calendar. And a lunar calendar is messy. Because a lunar year is shorter than a solar year, it requires constant human intervention.
Like leap years.
Exactly. You have to continually add intercalary months, which is basically like jamming an ancient leap month into the schedule just to keep the seasons from drifting out of whack.
Right.
So to the authors of Enoch, the lunar calendar was an arrogant human attempt to alter the perfect divine machinery that the archangel Uriel had set in motion.
I mean, think about how much control your modern calendar has over your life. When you work, when you pay taxes, when you celebrate.
It dictates everything.
If you control the ancient calendar, you control reality.
Yeah.
You control when people worship and when the agricultural tithes are due.
Exactly.
So by having Enoch, this ancient, unquestionable patriarch, declare that the solar calendar was handed to him directly by an archangel, the authors were pulling the ultimate appeal to authority.
They were telling their political rivals, our math isn't just right, it's the cosmic law. And you are literally siding with the fallen angels by tracking the moon.
That is intense.
It is. And all of this intense focus on the cosmic order, the strict, unchanging timelines of the stars, the inevitable punishment of the watchers, it all serves one ultimate grand purpose in the text.
What's that?
It builds the foundation for predicting the end of the world.
Right. And we finally arrive at this section of the book known as the parables or the similitudes.
Yes.
The tone shifts dramatically here from astronomical observation to profound universal judgment. This is where the apocalyptic blueprint is laid out. It introduces a highly developed Messiah figure called the Son of Man, or the elect one, who sits on a throne of glory, judging the living and the dead.
And this section introduces a rigid, almost terrifying sense of predestination. The text states that God has weighed the ages in the scales.
Meaning everything is set.
Yes. The exact number of days, seasons, and years of human history have been mathematically predetermined since the dawn of time.
And the narrative guarantees that the wicked elite, specifically naming the kings, the mighty, the wealthy landlords, will be violently cast down.
While the righteous, who have been suffering in poverty and oppression, will be elevated and rewarded in a new heaven and a new earth.
So what does this all mean? Why did this specific, apocalyptic, mathematically rigid vision of class warfare resonate so deeply with the people reading it at the time?
This raises an important question for you, the listener. I want you to imagine living in the ancient Near East during the 2nd century BC. Your country is under brutal, violent, imperial oppression from the Seleucid Empire.
Rulers like Antiochus V Epiphanes.
Right. He is actively slaughtering your people, desecrating your temples, and trying to systematically erase your culture and religion. When you look out your window, the world looks completely chaotic.
Evil people are winning.
Good people are dying in the streets. The wicked kings are living in unimaginable luxury while the righteous starve.
It feels like the cosmic order is entirely broken.
Exactly. And today, we often misunderstand apocalyptic literature. We hear the word apocalypse, and we immediately think of doomsday asteroids, zombies, the end of everything.
Right. Total destruction.
But in the ancient world, apocalyptic literature was actually the most profound literature of hope.
Hope. Through fiery rifts and violent judgment.
Yes, because it tells an oppressed, battered people that the universe is not random. It assures them that the chaos and the slaughter they see outside their window is temporary.
Oh, wow.
The score is being kept by a divine judge sitting on a throne. It was a way of saying, hold on, the math is fixed. The timeline of your oppressors is mathematically running out, and justice is absolutely guaranteed.
That reframes the entire context of the book for me. It's a survival manual disguised as a cosmic journey.
It is the ultimate coping mechanism for an oppressed society.
That's incredible. Well, let's recap the journey we've been on today. We have tracked a book that was considered so dangerous it was banned by the early church, only to be preserved in the highlands of Ethiopia.
And ultimately validated by Aramaic fragments hidden in the caves of the Dead Sea.
Yeah. We've explored its wild accounts of rogue angels descending to a mountain to teach humanity the twin corruptions of warfare and vanity.
We've seen how its detailed maps of black holes and the cosmos were used as political weapons in a bitter war over a 364-day solar calendar.
And we've uncovered its ultimate message, which is a mathematically guaranteed promise of cosmic justice for the oppressed.
And for you listening, the real value of understanding the Book of Enoch is recognizing what it says about us as a species.
Absolutely.
It proves that the human desire to find order in chaos, to demand ultimate justice, and to seek a deeper meaning, whether we do that by tracking the precise movements of the stars or by imagining a divine courtroom where the wicked finally get what's coming to them, is an ancient, unbreakable thread of our shared human history.
I love that. And I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over on your own. According to the text, and even the canonical book of Genesis agrees with this, Enoch didn't die. He is the first of only 3 men in the Bible to be taken directly up to heaven while still alive.
Right, he walked with God.
Exactly. He achieved a state of higher consciousness. In his visions, he talks about being anointed with God's ointment, putting on garments of light, and entirely losing his desire for earthly food or the physical world. So here's the thought. This ancient foundational masterwork views the absolute pinnacle of human achievement as shedding the physical body to reach an enlightened ethereal state. So look around at us today.
Yeah.
Are our modern obsessions with extending physical life, our billions spent on biohacking, cryogenics, and desperately trying to stay in these fleshy bodies forever, are we actually moving backward? Are we running away from the very evolution these ancient sages were pointing toward?
That is a fascinating question.
Maybe some books vanish because we just aren't ready to read them yet. Until next time, keep diving deep.